Welcome to the beginning of the year staff development training on People First Language. Here at USD 327, Ellsworth, Kannapolis, Geneseo, we want to give out some information pertaining to People First Language. Maybe that's a new concept or a term for you. We want to take some time to cover that with the staff today. People First Language. It refers to how we should talk about a child, a student. We should put that child first, then mention their strengths and or interests, followed then and only then by their disability. Trying to always keep in mind that People First Language needs to remind us that our students are not their disabilities, but they are people first. So why have this discussion today with our staff? Because we need a change, both in society and within our district. We need a language that refers to people with their disabilities after them being recognized as individuals who are people. Because when we use terms and definitions before a person, we often shape the belief and ideas that others have about them. Historically, people with disabilities have been regarded as individuals to be pitied, feared, or even ignored. And we need to change that misrepresentation of this population. Much has changed lately. New laws and coverage have altered public's awareness. So we here in the school district also want to make sure we're trying to eliminate those stereotypes and, like I said, those misrepresentations of people who may be facing a disability. So as we go into it, we want to understand it's good manners, it's respect. It can change the way we see others if we change our language. It'll move society into a new direction. And of course, by putting that person before their disability, we are getting rid of the hurtful descriptors that we oftentimes use. Things you need to understand is that people with disabilities, it is the largest minority group. It is also the most diverse population group in the world. And that any one of us at any time can become a part of this population. So we understand that we are talking about a large group of individuals who are so diverse that we do need to be very specific and intentional in our words and how we recognize them to the world around us. So what can we do? We can change how we perceive individuals by how we communicate about them and to them. We don't want to be unintentional and making sure that unintentionally we project a bad message, a negative message about them or their disability. But again, we want to make sure that we put the people before their disability. So become fluent in this. Practice it. Work with your other colleagues, work with the other people on your teams, and really try to use this person first, this people first language in your daily activities. Some of those things could be, again, not recognizing a diabetic child, but a child with diabetes. Using your terms in a certain order where the person comes before the disability. So a person with a physical disability is more appropriate than person not person confined to a wheelchair. So that wheelchair should not come before the physical, the person it should not come before the person. Blind person, okay, rather, let's say, person with visual impairment. These quick turnaround terms, the way that we say these, can affect how people view the students that we work with, as well as the people that we are around. So things to remember, they're not looking for pity, that we can celebrate their uniqueness. It's also not a punishment for choices for them. These persons with disability, it occurs naturally. And so we can keep those things in mind as we start to refer to them and think about them and where they're at. So as our staff training, we can go through and we can remember that our language has power. It affects perceptions, it affects messages, it affects how people view each other. What we say and how we say it influences those around us. So we need to be very careful when we're talking about person-first language as it pertains to students who may have a disability. It's also more than just good manners. It can cause a change, and it can change how we see ourselves and others. So as we think about this and we head into our work day after staff development, I want you to make an effort to be intentional about trying to put the person before the disability. I want you to practice that language and become fluent with it. I want you to understand just how much what we say affects those that are around us. And really focus in on making sure that we recognize the individual before we recognize any disability they may have.